Tonight, on The Sleepy Theorist, we're gently drifting into the quiet world inside your head, where tiny electrical whispers guide you into sleep, and dreams bloom in perfect silence. Together, we'll wander through the moonlit corridors of your mind to discover how your neurons hum softly through the night. The day has been long. Your mind has wandered across hours, through tasks and conversations, through tiny choices and larger ones. All of it has been lit by the lantern of your attention, bright, warm, searching. But now, as night begins to settle around you, you feel that light start to soften. It is not a sudden darkness. It is a dimming so gradual that you hardly notice it at first. Your thoughts, which only moments ago were sharp and quick, begin to slow. Their edges blur as if wrapped in mist. What was urgent an hour ago is now just a faint outline in the distance. You are not yet asleep, but you are no longer fully in the grip of the day. Your brain is preparing for something ancient and necessary. In the language of science, you are beginning the transition from wakefulness to stage 1 sleep, a light and delicate phase where consciousness loosens its hold. But this is not a cold, mechanical switch. It is a ritual, carried out every night by the billions of neurons in your head. They whisper to each other in electrical signals, like a crowd in a theater before the curtain rises, slowly lowering their voices until all that remains is a hush. You can feel this shift if you pay attention, not with tension, but with curiosity. Notice how your body begins to sink a little deeper into the surface beneath you. Your eyelids feel heavier, not because they are weak, but because gravity seems to hold them more gently now. Your breathing slows, each inhale less eager, each exhale longer, as if sighing out the day. This moment between wake and sleep is precious. Scientists sometimes call it the hypnagogic state, but that word feels too sharp for something so soft. It is more like standing on a shoreline, one foot in the familiar sand of waking thought, the other dipping into the dark water of dreams. You are still aware, but awareness has loosened. Shapes and sounds in your mind start to drift without reason. Perhaps a memory from childhood, a sound you heard long ago, the face of someone who loved you. Your brainwaves reflect this shift. During the day, your neurons fire in fast, choppy patterns, beta waves keeping you alert. Now, those patterns slow into alpha waves, smoother and more rolling, like waves in a calm harbor. Soon, they will slow further still into theta waves, carrying you toward the first true depths of rest. It is a biological symphony, one you have been part of every night of your life, whether you knew it or not. Think of your brain as a lantern in a quiet room. All day, it has burned brightly, lighting every corner so you could see, think, and act. Now, the oil is low, and the flame curls inward, smaller and gentler. The glow is not gone. It is simply softer, more forgiving. In this dim light, the sharp shapes of the day begin to fade, replaced by softer outlines, more forgiving shadows. If you let your thoughts drift now, they will not hold tight to logic. This is the mind's way of loosening its grip on control. A flash of color, a half-formed sentence, an image of a bird you've never seen. These are the little fragments that signal your mind is ready to let go. You do not have to hold them, and you do not have to push them away. You can simply watch them pass, like leaves carried downstream. There is a reason this transition feels so comforting. Your brain is releasing less of the stress chemical cortisol and more of the calming messengers, serotonin and gamma-aminobutyric acid, GABA. They work quietly, slowing the chatter of neurons, relaxing muscles, making it easier for your body's systems to turn inward. You might notice your limbs feel heavier, as though you could sink into the bed. That weight is not weakness, it is the release of effort. Some cultures once believed that in this state, the soul begins to untether, drifting just enough to wander, but not far enough to leave. Whether or not that is true, there is something undeniably mysterious here. You are still you, still aware, and yet you are already on the edge of somewhere else. Imagine you are holding a lantern, walking down a forest path at dusk. Behind you is the clearing you have known all day, the noise, the light, the activity. Ahead, the trees grow closer, the air cooler, the ground quieter beneath your steps. The lantern's light catches the nearest branches, but beyond them, the path disappears into gentle darkness. You do not need to see far. You do not need to rush. The forest is not a place to fear. It is simply a different kind of home. The science behind this journey is both simple and profound. In these early minutes, your thalamus, the brain's sensory gatekeeper, begins to close its doors to the outside world. Sounds become muffled, sights lose their sharpness, even touch feels less urgent. Your mind starts to turn inward, prioritizing the world it will create for you in dreams. And yet, some doors stay open just enough for safety. A sudden loud noise could still wake you, pulling you back to full alertness. This threshold is fragile. If you try to force sleep, it slips away. If you worry about tomorrow, the lantern brightens again, keeping you on the waking side. The secret is trust. Trusting that your body knows the way, that your neurons have walked this path for millions of years of human nights. You may notice small twitches in your hands or legs now. Scientists call these hypnic jerks, brief muscle contractions as your brain downshifts from wakeful control to the looser coordination of sleep. They are harmless, like a boat adjusting to a slower current. Even your heart is learning the night's rhythm, beating with a slower, more deliberate pace. There is a quiet beauty here. Your entire being is rehearsing the act of letting go. The mind lowers its lantern, the body surrenders its weight. The senses turn inward, preparing to wander through landscapes that do not exist in daylight. And so, you drift, not forward in the way of a journey on land, but downward, as if sinking into a warm, still lake. The deeper you go, the less you need the light you carried. Shadows blend with the glow until there is no separation between them. You are no longer a traveler holding a lantern. You are part of the night itself. But just below this surface lies a greater current, one that has been moving beneath your thoughts all along. It is ancient, steady, and it carries you even now, whether you feel it or not. You will follow it soon, letting it take you further into the architecture of your sleeping mind. And so we pause here, on this threshold, with your lantern nearly out, the forest around you still and waiting. Just ahead, the path leads to that river beneath your thoughts. You have set your lantern down. The glow of the day has faded to embers, and the quiet around you is not empty, but alive. In that stillness, you begin to sense something more subtle, something that has always been there just below the surface. It is not a sound you can hear with your ears. It is not a movement you can see with your eyes. It is a presence, a current, a rhythm, moving through you like a hidden river. Even now, as your body rests, this river flows beneath your thoughts, guiding you deeper into the night. This is the language of your brain's electrical patterns, waves of energy that rise and fall in steady cycles, like the breathing of the mind itself. All day long, these waves have been fast and alert, allowing you to think, to speak, to act quickly. But now, as you lie in the threshold of sleep, they begin to slow. If you could watch them from above, you would see the transformation, the quick, jagged peaks of beta waves giving way to the longer, smoother curves of alpha waves. Soon, even those will dissolve into the gentle rolling swells of theta waves. These are the currents that carry you into sleep, deeper than your waking self can go. It helps to imagine these brain waves as water. During the day, the river is restless, its surface broken by rapids and splashes, responding to every stone, every gust of wind. Now, the water grows calmer, each wave stretching into the next, until they move like one unbroken breath. The river no longer hurries. It carries you effortlessly. You can feel this shift in your own body if you pay attention. Your breathing has changed, slower, deeper, quieter. The muscles in your face have softened. Your jaw is no longer holding the shape of conversation. Your heartbeat follows the river's pace, each beat a little more unhurried than the last. This is not a trick or a forced relaxation. It is your nervous system settling into a natural state of rest. The river, beneath your thoughts, is not just a metaphor. It is a measurable reality. Billions of neurons are sending tiny pulses of electricity, and when they fire in rhythm, they create patterns that ripple through your brain. These patterns are not random. They are orchestrated, shaped by what you feel, what you need, and where you are in the cycle of the day. Even in sleep, your brain is never silent. The waves do not stop. They simply change their shape and purpose. Theta waves, for example, often appear at this early stage, bridging the gap between waking and dreaming. They are slower than the waves of your day, but still full of movement, helping your mind loosen from logic and drift into imagination. There is a safety in surrendering to these waves. You do not need to control them. You could not, even if you tried. They have been moving like this since before you were born. In fact, before your first breath, your tiny developing brain was already pulsing with its own rhythmic currents, early signals that life had begun within you. Think of it like floating on your back in a gentle stream. At first, you might feel the urge to paddle, to direct yourself, to stay in control. But as the water carries you, you realize you can let go. You do not have to steer. You only have to trust that the current knows the way. This current is shaped by the balance between two great systems in your body, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems. The sympathetic system is your accelerator. It fuels action, focus, readiness. The parasympathetic system is your brake. It slows the heart, deepens the breath, and restores energy. Tonight, the brake has taken the lead, allowing your whole being to drift. As you follow the river inward, your senses begin to shift. The outside world grows softer. Sounds lose their edges. Light becomes a suggestion rather than a command. Your awareness is no longer fixed on the room you are in, but begins to wander inward toward landscapes made of memory, sensation, and quiet invention. This is the mind's slow descent. In these moments, you might notice flashes of imagery, shapes, faces, places that seem both familiar and strange. They do not have to make sense. They are the first dream threads woven by your brain as it lets go of strict order and welcomes a looser, more fluid logic. Neuroscientists have studied this moment and found that it is when the thalamus, the brain's sensory relay station, begins to filter out more and more of the outside world. It is as if the gates of the river are closing to the noise beyond, letting only the most important signals through. You could still be woken if necessary, but the river is already carrying you away from the shore. Some traditions compare the mind's rhythms to music. If wakefulness is a fast, bright song with quick beats, then this stage is a low, slow hum, steady enough to lull you, deep enough to soothe you. The brain waves keep their time, not with drums or strings, but with pulses of electricity that ripple across vast networks of cells, all moving together like a choir. And within this music lies a deeper magic, the synchronization of your entire being. Your heart rate, breathing, hormone release, even the temperature of your skin begins to align with the brain's slower rhythm. You are no longer many separate parts, each working at its own speed. You are one organism, one body, one mind, moving with the same current. This unity is what makes sleep so powerful. The river beneath your thoughts is not only a path into dreams, it is a restoration for your whole self. With each slow wave, your brain begins to release the day's chemical clutter, adjust the balance of your inner systems, and prepare the deep healing work that will happen in the hours ahead. But for now, you do not need to think of the hours ahead. You are still in the gentle shallows, still floating where the water is warm and familiar. Soon, you will drift into deeper channels, where the current is stronger and the work of true restoration begins. It is here, in these shallows, that something extraordinary happens without your awareness. The first sparks of memory processing. Tiny fragments from your day begin to settle, some stored for later, some quietly released. It is not a conscious sorting. You are not deciding what to keep and what to forget. The river makes these choices for you, guided by patterns as old as life itself. If you could step outside yourself and watch, you would see a landscape glowing faintly, neurons lighting up and dimming in a slow, rolling sequence, like lanterns on the banks of a midnight river. You would see the flow of thought giving way to the flow of rest, the mind gently handing over the reins to the night. You do not need to see it, though. You only need to feel the pull, the gentle tug that says, "Come further. Let go a little more." Trust the water beneath you, and as you drift, the current begins to deepen. The gentle ripples of the surface give way to larger, slower swells. Your mind is moving toward the inner chambers of the night, places where the guardian cycles of sleep will take over, guiding you further still. Soon, you will enter the realm where the river merges with its keepers, the silent guardians who decide how far and how deep you will go tonight. The river beneath your thoughts has deepened. You feel it now, pulling you gently but steadily away from the edges of waking. The surface world is a distant shore, fading into shadow. You are not falling, not tumbling, but being carried with care. Something unseen is guiding you, watching, deciding where you need to go next. These are the guardians of the night, not creatures of myth, but patterns of your own mind. They are the architects of your sleep cycles, shaping the journey you take through the night's many rooms. Each cycle is a circuit, a gentle loop through stages designed to restore you in ways you may never notice while awake. The journey begins in light sleep. Here, the gates are still open just enough for the world to reach you. A faint sound, a touch, a shift in temperature could still pull you back. But within this chamber, your heartbeat slows, your breathing deepens, and your brain waves drift into that slower, rolling rhythm of theta waves. If light sleep is the soft entryway, then deep sleep is the great hall at the heart of the night. In this stage, you are further from the waking world than at any other time. Your brain produces long, slow delta waves, vast and unhurried, like the swells of a midnight ocean. This is when your body repairs itself, releasing growth hormone, mending muscles, strengthening your immune defenses. The outside world fades to a faint hum. Even your dreams are rare here. The guardians hold this stage tightly. They know how precious it is. If you are woken too soon from deep sleep, you feel it. A heaviness that lingers, a fog that takes time to clear. This is your mind's way of telling you that the work was unfinished. But sleep is not all stillness. After the depths, the guardians lead you upward into the vivid landscapes of REM sleep. Here, your brain's activity looks almost like wakefulness on a scan. Waves quicken, eyes dart beneath closed lids, and dreams bloom in color and motion. In REM, the brain weaves memory with imagination, stitching together pieces of your life into strange, poetic tapestries. Your muscles remain still, held in a protective paralysis, so the dream world can unfold without spilling into the waking one. One full journey, light sleep, deep sleep, REM, takes about 90 minutes. But the night is not a single loop. You cycle through these stages again and again, each time with a slightly different balance. Early in the night, the guardians give you more deep sleep. Later, they favor longer stretches of dreaming. It is their way of tending to both your body and your mind. Imagine these cycles as a series of gardens. The first garden is soft and open, a place of drifting clouds and quiet air. The second is shaded and still, where the roots of your strength grow in darkness. The third is wild and colorful, where strange flowers bloom under a moonlit sky. The guardians walk with you through each garden, making sure you spend the right time in each before leading you on. You might think of sleep as a single, unbroken state, but it is more like a journey through shifting landscapes, each one changing your body in subtle, essential ways. In light sleep, memories begin to settle. In deep sleep, your cells are cleansed and repaired. In REM, creativity sparks, emotions soften, and lessons of the day are folded into the fabric of who you are. Scientists once believed that REM was the most important stage, the place where all the magic of dreams and memory happened. But now they know the truth is more balanced. Deep sleep and REM are equally vital, two sides of the same coin. Without one, the other cannot fully do its work. The guardians keep these stages in harmony. They adjust for your needs. If you've been physically exhausted, they give you more deep sleep to repair the body. If you've been learning, creating, or processing emotions, they give you longer REM to tend to the mind. It is a silent, intelligent care, one you never have to request. And yet, the guardians are vulnerable. Stress, noise, inconsistent sleep schedules, these can disrupt the balance, shortening some stages and lengthening others in ways that leave you less restored. When the cycle is broken, you may wake feeling as though you slept for hours but gained little rest. This is why your body cherishes rhythm. When you sleep at regular times, when the night is dark and quiet, when your mind is calm, the guardians can guide you through each chamber without interruption. It is then that the architecture of sleep works as it was meant to: fluid, balanced, whole. There is a kind of trust in giving yourself over to these cycles. You cannot track them as they happen. You cannot count the stages or measure their depth while you are in them. You can only let them carry you, knowing they have done this work since long before you could name them. Picture yourself walking a spiral staircase in the dark. Each turn takes you deeper, then up again, then deeper still, the steps familiar under your feet, even if you cannot see them. You move without effort because you are guided, not by sight, but by the rhythm your body knows by heart. And just as the river beneath your thoughts flows on, whether you notice it or not, these guardians keep watch, whether you acknowledge them or not. They are tireless. They never grow bored. They never rush. The work is too important. Tonight, as you cycle through their care, you might dream of a place you have never been, or wake with a solution to a problem you didn't know your mind was still holding. You might rise feeling stronger, or calmer, or somehow lighter, even if you can't say why. That is their gift, restoration without explanation. But there is another kind of guardian in the night, one that works not with stages, but with movement, flowing through your mind like a silent tide, washing away the traces of the day. It is this hidden system, moving quietly through the dark, that we will meet next. The guardians have carried you deep into the night. Your body lies still, your breath slow and steady, your mind adrift in the rhythm of its cycles. Somewhere inside, a new work begins. Quiet, invisible, essential. It is a cleansing, a renewal, a deep tide moving through the hidden channels of your brain. You do not feel it in the way you feel the beat of your heart or the rise of your lungs. It does not call attention to itself. But while you sleep, a network awakens, a system that has been waiting all day for this moment. It is called the glymphatic system, and it moves like a team of silent sweepers, clearing away what the day has left behind. During your waking hours, your brain is busy with thought, sensation, action. Neurons fire rapidly, exchanging signals, building and breaking connections. This activity produces not just ideas and memories, but also tiny fragments of waste, molecular byproducts, proteins, and other debris left over from the work of being awake. While you are conscious, there is no time for deep cleaning. The streets of the mind are too crowded, the traffic too constant. But in sleep, the traffic slows, and the sweepers can move freely. If you could watch it happen, you would see something remarkable. The very space between your brain cells expands. During sleep, the supporting cells, glia, shift their shape, creating wider channels around neurons. Into these channels flows cerebrospinal fluid, a clear liquid that cushions and nourishes your brain. Tonight, it has a special role: to wash through the neural pathways, carrying away what no longer belongs. It is like a river, flushing through a city in the night, sweeping litter from the streets, clearing dust from the air. Molecules linked to neurodegenerative diseases, such as beta-amyloid, are among the waste swept away. Without this nightly cleaning, these fragments could accumulate over time, clouding the clarity of thought. This is not a forceful scrub, but a gentle, persistent wash. The current moves slowly, bathing each fold of your brain, passing through the deep valleys and high ridges of its surface. As the fluid moves, it exchanges with the interstitial fluid that surrounds every neuron, pulling the old away and leaving space for the new. In this way, the glymphatic system is both cleaner and gardener, removing the dead leaves of memory, making room for the seeds of tomorrow's thoughts. You have likely felt its work without knowing its name. You feel it in the difference between a morning after good sleep, when your mind feels clear, light, ready, and a morning after restless hours, when your head feels heavy and slow, as though a mist still hangs in the corners. The sweepers were given too little time. The streets were only half cleared. The beauty of this system is its patience. It never rushes. It works through each stage of sleep, but it is most active in the deeper stages, when your brain waves slow and your body's energy turns inward. This is why the guardians of your sleep cycles protect those deep phases so carefully. The sweepers need darkness, stillness, and time. Scientists discovered this system only in the last decade. Before that, it was a mystery. How could the brain, with no traditional lymphatic vessels like the rest of the body, clear away waste? The answer was hidden in plain sight, in the glial cells that have always supported neurons. Together, they form a unique kind of cleaning crew, thus the name glymphatic, combining glia and lymphatic. But you do not have to remember the term. You can simply imagine a midnight river inside your skull, flowing with purpose, winding through every curve and hollow. You can imagine it carrying away the residue of worries, the small fragments of forgotten conversations, the static left behind by constant thought. The sweeper's work is not only about removing, it is also about balance. As they clear away what's no longer needed, they help restore the delicate chemical harmony your brain depends on. They refresh the water in which your thoughts swim. There is a quiet poetry to the idea that you are restored not just by rest itself, but by this silent movement of water through your mind. Sleep is not passive. It is an active, deliberate care, a nightly act of preservation. If you think about it, the rhythm of your body is full of such tides. The blood that flows through your heart, the air that moves through your lungs, the electrical waves of your neurons. And here, in the stillness of sleep, another tide joins them, a tide meant not to feed or to power, but to cleanse. When you wake, you will not remember the sweepers. You will not see their work, but you will feel it in the clarity of your thoughts, in the way problems seem simpler, in the lightness that lingers after a night well slept. The sweepers do not erase your past. They do not wash away what defines you. They simply clear the noise so your mind can hear itself again. They remove the unneeded so the essential can shine more brightly. Some nights, their work is interrupted by sudden waking, by restless turning, by the pull of light and noise. When this happens too often, the debris of the mind can begin to gather, making it harder to focus, harder to feel at ease. This is why the night's protection matters, why darkness, quiet, and rhythm are not luxuries, but part of your deepest health. In this moment, as you rest, the sweepers are passing through your mind. You cannot hear them, but you might sense the lightness they leave behind. Each slow breath you take, each minute that passes, gives them more room to work. You are not just lying still, you are being tended to, cared for in ways your waking self could never manage alone. This is the gift of surrendering to the night, to allow the hidden rivers to do their work, to wake with the sense that something inside you has been gently renewed. And as the sweepers complete their quiet rounds, another process stirs in the shadows, not of cleansing, but of creation. For beyond the silent work of water, there is a place in your night where color and sound and memory rise to paint their own world. The sweepers have passed through. Your mind is lighter now, cleared of the day's residue. The quiet channels of the night are clean, the air inside your thoughts clear and open. It is here in this refreshed space that another process begins, not of cleansing, but of creation. The lights return, but not the same lights you carried in the day. These are softer, shifting, strange, lanterns floating in a fog, and in their glow, the painters of dreams arrive. They are not painters in the way your waking mind would imagine. No brushes, no canvas, no palette of oils. Instead, their medium is electrical and chemical, their pigments drawn from memory, emotion, and imagination. They work in the stage of sleep, called REM, or rapid eye movement, when your brain becomes as active as if you were awake, yet your body lies still. In waking life, your mind is bound to certain rules. Time moves forward, places remain solid, faces belong to familiar names. But in dreams, the painters are free to dissolve those boundaries. A hallway may stretch into the ocean. A voice may belong to two people at once. You may be yourself and someone else at the same time. It may seem like chaos, but beneath the surreal brushstrokes is a kind of order. Neuroscientists believe that dreams are part of your brain's way of processing experience, sorting the events of the day, weaving them together with older memories, attaching emotion where it belongs, and dissolving what is no longer needed. The hippocampus, the seahorse-shaped keeper of memory, is busy here, sending fragments of recent moments to the cortex where they are stored more permanently. The amygdala, which colors your experiences with emotion, often takes the lead in REM sleep, which is why dreams can feel so intense, joyful, terrifying, or unbearably tender. The painters do not work in silence. Waves of acetylcholine stir the brain into vivid activity, while serotonin and norepinephrine drop to low levels, removing the constant editing and filtering of waking thought. This is why dream logic is so fluid. It is art without the critic in the room. You have been here before, though perhaps you have not noticed the artistry. That night, you dreamed of walking through a childhood home that had never existed, yet felt entirely yours. The morning you woke with the answer to a problem you could not solve the night before. The afternoon nap where you flew above a city without fear. Each was a painting, unique and fleeting, made only for you. In REM, your eyes flicker beneath closed lids, following the movements of a dream world as if it were real. Your heart rate rises, your breathing quickens, not to waking levels, but enough to mimic the energy of an active mind. And yet your muscles are stilled by a safeguard in your brainstem, a gentle paralysis that keeps you from physically acting out your dreams. This stillness is important. Without it, the vivid motions of the dream could carry into your body, pulling you from safety. But with it, you are free to wander through endless worlds without risk. Some researchers think dreams are rehearsals, safe spaces to practice for danger, to resolve conflicts, to try on possibilities. Others see them as emotional therapy sessions, where the brain replays difficult experiences in a softer light or blurs their edges until they no longer cut as sharply. But perhaps the truest answer is that dreams serve many purposes, woven together like colors in a single painting. They process memory, they balance mood, they inspire creativity. They allow the mind to wander beyond the limits of the day. You can think of the painters as working in layers. The first layer is memory, the raw material from the day's events, pieces of conversation, flashes of images, even sounds and scents. The second layer is emotion, fear, joy, longing, relief, applied with bold strokes that shape the dream's tone. The third layer is imagination, bridges built between unrelated moments, creating landscapes that never existed and yet feel real beneath your dream feet. Sometimes, the painters work with deliberate care, creating a dream so coherent you might mistake it for reality. Other times, they throw paint wildly, creating scenes that dissolve as soon as you look too closely. And then, there are the recurring dreams, unfinished paintings that the mind returns to again and again. A place you cannot leave, a task you cannot complete. These may be signs that something in your waking life still waits to be processed, a color the painters have not yet found. Even nightmares are part of the gallery. They can feel overwhelming in the moment, but many serve a purpose, allowing you to face fears in a controlled, unreal space. The same emotional centers that make dreams vivid also allow you to replay difficult feelings without the full weight of waking consequence. As the painters work, they follow no clock you can read. Sleep first appears about 90 minutes into the night, then returns in longer and longer stretches as the hours pass. In the early cycles, the paintings are quick sketches. In the later ones, they are sprawling murals, layered with detail. This is why the dreams you remember most often come in the morning. They are the final, most elaborate works before you wake. You may not remember every dream, or even most of them. That is natural. The brain is not designed to store them all. Many are washed away upon waking, leaving only a faint feeling, a fragment of color, a half-remembered face. But even unremembered dreams can still leave their mark, shifting mood, solving problems, or easing tension in ways you cannot see. There is something tender in knowing that each night a private gallery opens inside your mind, one no one else can visit, one that disappears with the light. The painters do not ask for recognition. They do their work in secret, and when the dawn comes, they let the paintings dissolve. Tonight, as you drift in RM's vivid waters, you might walk through a field that never existed, speak to someone who is gone, or find yourself holding a thing you have never seen before. Each image, each sensation, is a brushstroke, a part of the whole. When the painters have finished for the night, they will step back quietly, letting the images fade. The dream world will dissolve, but the work will remain. Memories organized, emotions balanced, ideas planted like seeds in fresh soil. And as their colors fade, another set of workers takes the stage. Messengers that move through your mind, not with paint, but with signals, carrying the instructions and adjustments that will shape the rest of your night. The painters have laid down their brushes. The dreamscapes they created drift away, fading into the unseen archive of the night. But their work does not vanish. It is carried forward, not by images or colors, but by messages. And those messages must travel. This is when the silent couriers take the stage. You cannot hear them. You cannot see them. Yet without them, the night's journey would fall into disarray. These messengers are molecules, neurotransmitters, tiny chemical signals that pass from one neuron to another, ensuring that the great orchestration of your sleep continues without pause. They are not bound by the limits of waking speech. They do not shout across the spaces between brain cells. Instead, they drift across the synaptic gap, the minuscule space between two neurons, delivering precise instructions for what comes next. A single messenger may tell a neuron to fire, to pause, to release another signal, or to quiet itself entirely. In the daytime, these messengers keep you alert, focused, and responsive. But at night, they take on new roles, guiding you into different stages of sleep, shaping the tone of your dreams, and restoring the inner chemistry that balances mood, memory, and motivation. Acetylcholine is one of the most active in the realm of REM sleep. It stirs your brain into vivid activity, awakening the same neural circuits you use in waking thought, but without bringing your body with you. It is acetylcholine that fuels the intense images and movement you experience in dreams while the rest of your body remains still, protected by the gentle paralysis of REM. Serotonin, the steadying messenger, helps you transition into sleep and maintain a sense of calm throughout the night. In the early hours, it supports deep, slow-wave sleep, the kind that repairs your body. Later, its levels dip, allowing REM to flourish, only to rise again toward morning, gently preparing you to wake with balance and peace. Dopamine, often called the messenger of reward, plays a subtler role in sleep. While it fuels motivation and alertness in the day, at night it participates in dream vividness and the weaving of emotional memory. Some researchers believe it is dopamine that adds intensity to certain dreams, the moments that stay with you after waking, glowing faintly in the corners of your mind. These messengers do not work in isolation. They move like an ensemble, passing signals back and forth, adjusting their levels as the cycles of the night unfold. Gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA, calms the electrical chatter of the brain, encouraging neurons to rest. Norepinephrine, high in the day to keep you alert, falls away almost completely in REM, removing the rigid filters that waking thought imposes. The night's chemistry is never still. Even as you lie motionless, this invisible dance continues, molecules released, received, and recycled in a constant flow. The balance is delicate. Too much or too little of a single messenger can disrupt the architecture of sleep. That is why your body guards this process so carefully, adjusting its levels with a precision you could never match while awake. You might imagine these messengers as small lantern bearers, moving through the corridors of your mind. Each one knows exactly where to go, which door to knock on, which instruction to deliver. They travel without hesitation, because they have done this for as long as you have drawn breath. In truth, their work is ancient. Long before humans walked the earth, long before our ancestors dreamed, creatures with far simpler nervous systems used chemical messengers to coordinate their rest and activity. Sleep and its chemistry are written deep into the fabric of life. The most extraordinary thing about these messengers is that they work without your awareness. You do not need to summon them or instruct them. As soon as you close your eyes, the shift begins. Serotonin rises, norepinephrine falls. Acetylcholine prepares its colors for REM. The cycle unfolds as naturally as the changing light of the sky. And while science can name these molecules, measure their levels, and watch their effects in scans, it cannot capture the quiet poetry of what they do. For in their work lies something beyond chemical exchange, a kind of caretaking. They do not simply pass along instructions. They ensure that the language of the night remains fluent and whole. Without them, your sleep would lose its shape. You might drift endlessly in shallow rest, never reaching the depths your body needs. Or you might dive deep, but never rise into the dreamscapes that balance your mind. The messengers keep the path clear, guiding you from one stage to the next, ensuring that each part of the night's work is done. Sometimes, they even carry messages that cross the boundary between sleep and waking. You might open your eyes in the morning with a sudden idea, a decision made, or a feeling eased, changes that began as quiet exchanges between neurons in the dark. These chemical couriers also prepare you for the transition into morning. In the final hours of sleep, dopamine and norepinephrine begin to rise again, reawakening alertness. Serotonin steadies your mood. Acetylcholine fades from its dream-bright levels, and the orchestra of the night begins its closing notes. Even then, their work is not done. Throughout the day, the balance they have created will influence your focus, your patience, your sense of well-being. Tonight's messages shape tomorrow's mind. It is humbling to know that while you lie still, entire systems of care are at work within you. Silent, tireless, precise. You are not only resting, you are being restored on a scale so fine that you will never feel the individual touches, only the whole. And as these messengers move through their final rounds of the night, they prepare the way for something else. Another surrender, one that belongs not to the mind alone, but to the body. For beyond the neurons and the chemical couriers, there is a moment when your whole physical self yields fully to the night's embrace. The messengers have delivered their signals. Your brain's rhythms are steady, your mind's pathways carefully tended. And now, the effects of those silent instructions move outward, beyond the neurons, beyond the dreaming mind, into the living architecture of your body. Sleep is not just a story written in the head. It is a whole-body surrender, a soft yielding that begins in the smallest cells and spreads through muscles, organs, and skin. The mind may guide the process, but the body is its companion, following each cue with its own kind of wisdom. It starts with stillness. The urge to move fades. Muscles loosen, letting go of the tiny contractions they hold unconsciously in waking life. The jaw unclenches, shoulders drop, fingers uncurl. Even the muscles deep in the spine relax, allowing the body to sink a little deeper into the bed. Your heart feels this shift. With the nervous system's brake, the parasympathetic system, gently pressed, your heartbeat slows. It is no longer tuned for alertness or quick reaction. Each beat is deliberate, unhurried, sending just enough blood to sustain the body's quiet needs. The pressure in your arteries eases, like a river widening and slowing as it enters calm waters. Your breathing follows. In waking, it changes constantly, quickening with thought, catching with surprise, deepening with effort. Now it becomes rhythmic, almost metronomic. In deep sleep, the breath can grow slower still, paired perfectly with the slow waves rolling through your brain. As the night deepens, your body temperature begins to dip. This is not a flaw or a sign of weakness. It is an intentional change, part of your biology's way of conserving energy. The drop is small, just 1 or 2 degrees, but it matters. It signals to every system that it is time for repair, not action. Muscles heal more efficiently in this cooler state. Inflammation eases. Cellular waste is processed and carried away. Even your digestive system slows its work. The rush of waking metabolism yields to a gentler pace. This allows the body to divert energy toward the intricate maintenance of cells, rebuilding proteins, restoring energy stores, and repairing microscopic damage from the day's wear. Deep within, your endocrine system joins in the surrender. Growth hormone is released in pulses during the night, fueling tissue repair, bone strengthening, and immune support. Cortisol, the stress hormone, reaches its lowest point, letting your cells rest without the constant signal to prepare for action. Later, toward dawn, it will rise again to help you wake. But for now, the night belongs to stillness. It is in this surrender that the body's wisdom becomes most visible. You are not forcing this process. You are allowing it. Each system knows what to do, each change unfolding in its own time. You are, in a very real sense, being taken care of by your own biology. Think of it like handing yourself back to the earth for safekeeping. Your weight sinks into the mattress as if into soil. Your limbs rest as branches do at night, unmoving but alive. Your breath is the slow wind through leaves. The warmth of your skin is the quiet heat stored in stones after sunset. You are not separate from nature. You are following its oldest rhythms. This is the moment when the border between mind and body becomes faint. The same systems that slowed your thoughts are slowing your heartbeat. The same chemistry that quieted your muscles is smoothing the edges of your dreams. Mind and body are not separate partners here. They are one, moving in harmony through the night. The surrender is not a collapse. It is an active restoration. Even in its stillness, your body is busy, sealing tiny muscle tears, renewing the lining of blood vessels, replenishing neurotransmitters, recalibrating hormone levels. Immune cells patrol silently, seeking out threats and repairing damage. Sometimes you may not notice the depth of this work until you lose it. A night of disrupted sleep leaves muscles sore, reflexes dulled, mood unsettled. It is a reminder that this nightly surrender is not a luxury, but a necessity woven into your design. As you lie here now, you might imagine this surrender as a slow tide moving through you. It starts at the edges, softening your fingertips, loosening your jaw, and moves inward to your chest, your heart, your core. It is as if the sea of the night is rising gently, covering you not with water, but with rest. Your body does not rush to finish its work. It moves at the pace it has always known, the pace of living things that have survived by tending to themselves in the dark. You are part of that long lineage. Every ancestor who lay down under stars or in shelter was kept alive by this surrender, waking renewed to meet the day. And so, you remain still, muscles held in a quiet equilibrium, heart slow and steady, breath calm, cells at work in ways too small to feel. You will stay here for a time, drifting between cycles, letting your body's restoration deepen. And when the night is ready, the surrender will begin to shift again, not toward waking, but toward a subtle change in rhythm. For beyond the quiet repair, there is another guide working in the background, a keeper of time, older than clocks, older than sunrise, ensuring that your body and mind are in step with the turning world. Your body has surrendered. The muscles are loose, the heart unhurried, the breath steady. Yet somewhere deep inside, a quiet sentinel remains awake, a keeper of time who ensures that all of this surrender unfolds in perfect sequence. You carry this timekeeper with you always. It is not made of gears or numbers, but of living tissue. It beats not in seconds, but in cycles. Scientists call it the circadian rhythm, a 24-hour pattern written into nearly every cell of your body. You could think of it as the oldest clock you will ever own, set long before your first breath, tuned to the turning of the earth itself. This rhythm is guided by light and darkness. When the morning sun touches your skin and enters your eyes, the clock's master switch, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a tiny cluster of cells in your brain, takes note. It signals to the rest of your body that it is time to wake, to release energy, to prepare for movement. At night, when light fades, the signal changes. Melatonin rises, body temperature drops, systems slow. The timekeeper is telling you, Now is the time for rest. Even now, as you sleep, it is working. It decides when you enter deep sleep, when you drift into REM, when your hormones pulse, when your cells repair. It keeps these processes aligned so that your night is not just a random drift, but a carefully plotted journey. Without it, sleep would lose its structure, and you would wake unrefreshed, no matter how long you stayed in bed. This inner clock is older than human history. It has guided animals for millions of years, telling birds when to migrate, bears when to hibernate, flowers when to open their petals. You are part of that same great pattern, obeying the same cycles written in the world around you. Your body's rhythm is not separate from the Earth's. It is an echo of it. Imagine the circadian rhythm as a lighthouse on a shore you cannot see. Its beam turns in a slow, steady circle, marking the hours of the night. Each sweep of light tells the cells in your heart, your liver, your muscles, and your brain where they are in the journey. Without that signal, they would lose track of one another, like ships drifting without a guide. This clock is astonishing in its reach. It doesn't just regulate sleep and wake, it touches digestion, immune defense, body temperature, mood, even the expression of your genes. Some genes are turned on only at certain hours of the day, waiting for the timekeeper's signal. The cells know when to work and when to rest because they are listening to this ancient, silent beat. But the timekeeper is not rigid. It can adapt. If you travel across time zones, it will slowly shift, syncing itself with the new cycle of light and dark. If you spend a few days waking earlier or later, it will adjust, though not instantly. This is why sudden changes leave you feeling unsettled, caught between two clocks, your inner one and the outer one. While you sleep tonight, your timekeeper is measuring the darkness. It knows that the sun will return. It is already preparing you for the approach of morning, adjusting your hormones so that you will not be startled by the day, but will rise into it gradually. Cortisol will begin to rise just before you wake, not to create stress, but to give you the energy to move again. Melatonin will fade, muscles will grow warmer, heartbeats will become a little quicker. This orchestration happens without your awareness. You do not need to check the time or make a plan. You could be in the deepest dream, and still, your cells would know the hour. This is why, even without an alarm, you sometimes wake at the same time each day. The clock inside you has already rung. It is not perfect. Electric light, irregular schedules, glowing screens, these can confuse the timekeeper, blurring the signals of night and day. When that happens, the rhythm wavers, sleep becomes lighter, mood more fragile, focus harder to hold. This is why your body feels better when it can follow a steady pattern, when light in the morning and darkness at night arrive like familiar companions. The circadian rhythm is not only about hours, it is about harmony. Each organ in your body has its own smaller clock, and all of them take their cues from the master timekeeper in your brain. This coordination ensures that your digestion is most active when you are likely to eat, that your muscles are strongest when you are likely to move, that your immune system is most alert when you are most vulnerable. Even now, while you sleep, some parts of you are more active than others. In the early night, the clock gives priority to physical restoration, deep sleep, tissue repair, immune defense. Later, as dawn approaches, it shifts toward mental restoration, longer REM cycles, emotional balancing, memory processing. This choreography allows you to wake whole, both in body and mind. You might picture your circadian rhythm as a slow breath that takes a full day to complete. Inhale for the waking hours, exhale for the night. Each moment of your life, you are somewhere on that breath. Tonight, you are deep in the exhale, carried by the part of the rhythm that renews and restores. This rhythm connects you to the earth in ways you rarely notice. When the sun rises tomorrow, it will not just brighten the sky, it will touch every cell in your body through this ancient system. You are timed to the planet's turning, to the tilt of its axis, to the pull of the moon, and the warmth of the day. Your heartbeat and breath are part of a greater pulse, one shared by all living things that rest and rise with the sun. It is comforting to know that even as you drift far from waking thought, you are never untethered. You are always held in the quiet order of this clock, guided by a rhythm that began long before you and will continue long after. And yet, even the most perfect timekeeper cannot always guarantee ease. There are nights when, despite the rhythm's gentle guidance, sleep is elusive, when the mind resists, when the body stirs, when the darkness feels long, and wakefulness lingers. Those are the nights when another kind of patience is required. Even the best-kept clock has nights when its chimes do not bring rest. The timekeeper inside you may be steady, the body willing, the room dark, but sleep lingers just out of reach, like a shore you can see but cannot swim to. You know these nights. You lie still, waiting for the weight to settle over your eyes, but it does not come. Your thoughts circle instead, slow at first, then faster, like birds in a restless sky, refusing to land. You remember moments from the day or from years ago. You imagine conversations that have not yet happened. You count the hours until morning. There is no shame in this. Sleeplessness is as old as sleep itself. It visits everyone, sometimes briefly, sometimes for longer stretches. And while it can feel like a battle to be won, the truth is gentler. Sleep is not something you can force. You cannot pull it toward you like a heavy curtain. You can only make space for it and trust it will arrive when the mind and body are ready. In the language of biology, sleeplessness can come from many roots. Sometimes, the timekeeper's rhythm is out of sync, perhaps from travel, or light too late in the evening, or irregular hours. Sometimes stress floods the bloodstream with cortisol, a hormone that keeps the body on alert when it should be winding down. Sometimes the mind is simply too active, its circuits still bright with the activity of the day. You may notice your heart beating more quickly on such nights, your breath shallow. These are signs that the sympathetic nervous system, the body's accelerator, is still engaged. In wakefulness, this system helps you act and respond. But in sleep, its energy is meant to fade, making room for the parasympathetic system, the body's brake, to slow the heart, deepen the breath, and prepare you for rest. When the accelerator does not release, the body cannot fully cross the threshold. The birds keep circling. But here is a quiet truth. You can coax the brake into place, not by command, but by invitation. A slow, steady breath, longer on the exhale than the inhale, signals to your nervous system that it is safe to ease. A body scan, where you rest your attention on each part of yourself from toes to head, loosens muscles one by one. Even imagining yourself in a calm place, a forest at dusk, a beach at dawn, can shift the brain's chemistry toward rest. These practices work not because they make sleep happen, but because they create the conditions in which sleep is most welcome. The mind is like a pond. When disturbed, it ripples endlessly. But if you stop tossing stones into it, the surface stills on its own. Some nights, even with gentleness, sleep may still resist. That is when patience matters most. Lying in bed and worrying about the hours lost only stirs the pond again. Instead, you might think of the night as a resting space, even without sleep. Time for the body to lie still, for the mind to be quiet, for the senses to soften. Science tells us that rest without sleep still offers benefits. Muscles relax, heart rate lowers, stress hormones begin to fall. And often, without you noticing the exact moment, the border between wake and sleep dissolves, and you find yourself across it. It may help to remember that the pressure for sleep builds naturally in the brain over hours of wakefulness. This is called sleep pressure, and it is driven by the rise of a chemical called adenosine. The longer you are awake, the more adenosine accumulates, making you feel drowsy. Caffeine works by blocking its signal, which is why late coffee can delay sleep. But in time, adenosine always wins. Knowing this, you can trust that even if tonight feels long, the pressure will grow until sleep becomes irresistible. You do not have to chase it. You only have to step aside when it arrives. There is another kind of sleeplessness too, the kind that comes from the mind clinging to something unfinished, an unsolved problem, an unresolved feeling. The brain, even in darkness, tries to keep working. But often, writing a thought down or whispering to yourself that you will return to it in the morning allows it to rest. You are telling your mind, this can wait. Across the world, cultures have found their own ways to invite sleep. Herbal teas, quiet rituals, the sound of water or wind. None of them force the night to come faster. They simply tell the body that it is safe, that it is time. Safety is the soil in which sleep grows. If tonight is one of those nights for you, you can think of the restless birds in your mind not as enemies, but as travelers who have not yet found their roost. Let them circle, let them tire. In time, they will land on their own. And when they do, when the thoughts slow, when the breath evens, when the body's break fully engages, you will feel the shift. The pond will still, the birds will fold their wings, and you will drift into the quiet waters you have been waiting for. Even then, the night is not over. For after resistance fades and sleep arrives, there is a way to meet the morning that does not break the spell entirely. A way to rise without startling yourself from the calm you have found. The darkness thins, not all at once, but in layers, soft, pale threads weaving themselves into the edges of your dreams. Somewhere beyond your closed eyes, the earth has turned far enough for the sun to touch your horizon. Inside you, change has already begun. Before you open your eyes, before you move, your body has sensed the shift. The master timekeeper in your brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, has measured the fading night and begun to adjust your chemistry for the day ahead. Cortisol, low in the deep night, begins its gentle rise. Not the jarring spike of stress, but a gradual lifting, like the pull of the tide. It tells your body that it is time to wake, that energy will soon be needed. Melatonin, the hormone of darkness, drifts away, making room for alertness to return. Your heart stirs, beating a little faster than it did in the slowest hours of night. Blood vessels widen, welcoming the steady increase of oxygen as your breath deepens. The stillness in your muscles begins to loosen, readiness seeping back into their fibers. Even your brain is stirring. The slow, rolling delta waves of deep sleep are giving way to faster rhythms, like the brightening tempo of a song. Connections that rested quietly through the night start to fire with more frequency, bringing the waking mind back online. This shift is not a break in the night's work. It is the final act of it. The dreams you drifted through are settling into memory, some stored, others discarded. Your hippocampus has handed off the important pieces to the cortex, where they will live more permanently. Emotional traces have been softened or strengthened as needed, shaped by the night's cycles. The sweepers of the glymphatic system have finished their quiet rounds, leaving your mental streets clear and ready. You are not the same as when you closed your eyes. The cells in your muscles and bones are repaired. Your immune system is better prepared to defend you. Your mind has been sorted and balanced. This is the gift of the night, the silent work done while you surrendered to it. And so the morning comes to claim you, not with urgency, but with invitation. If you allow it, waking can be as gentle as sleep's descent. You do not need to be pulled from bed like a stone from water. You can rise like a swimmer, breaking the surface, the warmth of the sea still clinging to your skin. Light helps you cross this threshold. When photons touch the cells at the back of your eyes, they send signals straight to your brain's clock, telling it that the day has begun. Serotonin rises, brightening mood and sharpening focus. In time, this serotonin will be reshaped into tonight's melatonin, the cycle looping again. You might notice how your senses return, one by one. The coolness of the air against your skin, the muted sound of the morning beyond your room, the scent of whatever waits in the day ahead. Each sensation is like a door swinging open, letting the waking world step inside. Your movement, too, can be gradual. Stretching lengthens muscles that have been still for hours, sending signals to the brain that you are ready to use them again. Standing shifts blood flow, reminding the heart of its daytime rhythm. Even the act of opening your eyes fully tells your nervous system, we are here now, in the light. In these moments, it can be tempting to rush, to reach for a device, to check the clock, to leap into tasks, but the body appreciates slowness. Just as the earth turns without hurrying the sunrise, you can meet the morning without haste. This is not idleness. It is alignment. By allowing the systems of your body to come online in their own rhythm, you protect the balance the night has built. The hormones and neurotransmitters shifting inside you are not instant switches. They are tides. Give them time, and they will carry you into the day with steadiness instead of shock. You can think of waking as the mirror of falling asleep. At night, you left behind the bright demands of the day for the dim, inward focus of rest. Now, you leave behind the inward world of dreams for the bright expanse of waking life. Both are crossings. Both are better when taken with care. Your night has been a journey. Through the gentle shallows of light sleep, the still depths of slow wave rest, the vivid colors of dreams. You have been cleaned and repaired, guided and guarded, painted and renewed. Now you carry the quiet strength of all that into the day. And as you take your first steps into the light, you might notice that the night has left you with more than repair. It has left you with whispers, ideas from dreams that you cannot quite name, feelings you woke with but cannot trace, a calmness that sits deeper than thought. These whispers are not meant to be solved like puzzles. They are meant to be carried. They are the subtle reminder that even in sleep, you are never still. You are always moving, always changing, always part of a cycle older than you will ever know. The day ahead will pull you outward again, into noise, into motion, into choice. But somewhere beneath it all, the memory of the night's work will remain, quiet and unshakable, like the hum of the earth turning beneath your feet. And tonight, when the light fades again, you will return to that work. The lantern will lower, the river will rise, the guardians will lead you, the sweepers will clean, the painters will paint, the messengers will pass through, the body will surrender, the timekeepers will watch, the restless birds will land, and you will wake again, carrying the night into the day. Because this is the truth of your life. You are not separate from the rhythm of rest and waking. You are its vessel, its participant, its keeper. And as long as the earth turns and the light returns, you will drift into the night and rise into the day again and again, each time a little more whole than before.